It's all about making your marketing work. Now, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page with everything, let's make sure you are here and you are in the right place. So who this is for is, number one, you have the skills or the expertise or the knowledge to help people improve their physical, mental, and or emotional health through wellness modalities. Wellness modalities meaning functional, integrative, longevity, regenerative, and or holistic methods. So if that's you, you're in the right place. And this is for those, if you want to make this world healthier and you want to have a great income, like you want to have great impact with your business, your company getting out there and doing great things, and you want to have good revenue coming in. And number three, you are serious about turning your marketing into an impact-driven sales machine. If that is you, well, then you're going to like what we've got going on. Here is the agenda for today, just so we can all be on the same page. Number one, we are going to do a very quick 2 to 3 minute overview of the greatest opportunity in the health and wellness industry has right now, which is mostly overlooked. And when you understand how there is a giant market of 167 million people that are being overlooked by wellness companies because they're marketing to them the wrong way, there is a huge opportunity for everyone to capitalize on. There are plenty of room for everybody here. Number two, we want to make sure that you understand that creating a powerful marketing and sales strategy from the top is better than just going out there and just throwing spaghetti at the wall, posting, doing ads without really understanding the strategy part. So we're going to go over that. And of course, number three, it's an open marketing and sales Q&A session, which is why you are all here. We will give you our knowledge and our expertise and seriously serve you the best we can today. This is complimentary. There is no strings attached to this at all. All I ask is that you open up your box right now and you put in there, what question do you have specifically? Now, I know by looking at about a lot of the registrations, we asked, okay, what are the things you need help with? And you guys checked off a little box, and then you put in a kind of like an open-ended question. The biggest thing that we see people needing help with, the most desired marketing and sales support, getting clients. That's the number one request. We do have some other questions in there about what kind of keywords do I use on Google Ads? How do I do organic marketing? What else can I do other than organic marketing because it's sucking up my time? We will get to those too. If during this little short prequel to the Q&A session, you have a question, please open up that chat box, put it in there. We've got Lonnie and Paula and Elia here with me today. They're monitoring that and they will help support you guys the best they can. So in making your marketing work, what I want to highlight is how powerful this can be when you take somebody like Jake Porter right here, who's in Houston, Texas, who is merely a licensed professional counselor, right? He's in the relationship space. He helps people with marriages. And when he got his marketing to work, he literally in 24 hours lined up 38 sales calls. And this says ramping up to be a six-figure payday. It was a six-figure payday. From one email we sent out for him, he did $162,000 in the first 42 days. That's the first 6 weeks. That's how powerful what happens when you turn your marketing into an impact-driven system. Now, when we're talking about impact, and I want you to all think about marketing, this is strategic thought before you go out there and start blasting your stuff in front of the public. It's important that you construct this to have a trifecta win. Number one, first and foremost, your system, your method, your protocol, your modality, your program, your course, whatever it is you do, your clients need to be getting the strongest results possible in the shortest period of time. You want things set up so you're saving them money and time in the process. Number two, you also need to make sure that how you're doing this, not only the way that you're working with clients, but you actually have a profit margin that is good and that your bottom line has more profit. And also, number three, you want to make sure you're not burning out in the process doing this, that you can actually enjoy life a little bit when the sales start taking off. This is the foundation for doing any type of health and wellness marketing. And what we're talking about today is specific to the health and wellness industry. If you're in the automotive industry, this stuff probably isn't going to work. If you're in the real estate agency, this probably isn't going to work. If you're in other industries, this probably isn't going to work. This is specifically for health and wellness. Because right now, out there, we have two types of health buyers. If you haven't seen any of our videos before, any of the training in our group or any of our workshops, let me highlight these two different people. On the left, we have the magic pill seeker. This is the person who is only interested in spending a few $100s on their health. If you have a transactional based model, meaning you're doing hourly billing, you're doing sessions, you're doing procedures, and maybe you're packaging things together, that this person goes MIA after a few sessions. Like they're really just looking for a quick fix to their symptoms. They're not serious about investing in their health. On the right-hand side, that person scaling to the top of the mountain, that's the impact seeker. This is the person who values time over money, isn't concerned about price, is only concerned about, can you help me fix my big health problem? This is what's important because we want to make sure we're focusing on the right prospect. So much of the marketing out there that we see in the health and wellness space, and you guys don't mean to do it, but it just ends up happening this way because you're kind of repeating what everybody else is doing wrong, is that you're focusing on the wrong person. You're focusing on the magic pill seeker. Then the greatest opportunity, and I don't think a lot of people in health and wellness space realize this, that literally 99.5% of the companies out there are focusing on the impact seeker. And when everybody are focusing on the magic pill seeker. And when everybody is focusing on the low value prospect and trying to do high volume, you focus on that one person out there who's really going to change their health, sees your value, sees your investment, and that is the impact seeker. And that is the greatest opportunity when it comes to your marketing. And again, I want to make sure that you're thinking about this from a strategic point. So right now, I want you to put into the box a 1 for yes, a 2 for no. How many of you have ever had to deal with those magic pill seekers that show up to your business? Type a 1 or a 2 for no. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of people out there. So let's really talk about how we can turn this around to make sure that we're focusing on a much better prospect. Because if you don't, you guys are probably going to experience what we call metabolic business syndrome. And raise your hand in front of your camera. Does anybody know what metabolic syndrome is in the world of health and wellness? Functional, integrative. Yes. Okay. So metabolic business syndrome is when the health company is bloated down with time and or cash flow constraints. So in some cases, you'll have a company that has good revenue, but the people behind the scenes are spending so much time that there is no quality of life. There's no life outside of work, like literally. And or the cash flow is, it's either not coming in the way it needs to be, or there is cash flow coming in, but the profit margins are super low. And in either one of those scenarios, that's when we experience metabolic business syndrome. And it's really important to understand that every health niche, it does not matter what your background is. It does not matter if you're a regulated practitioner, like a functional medical doctor, if you're unregulated, like me, like a health coach, or if you're into skin health, or if you're into mental health or emotional health, that every health niche has impact seekers who are being completely ignored. And this is why we're here today, to make sure you guys are hitting them and you're getting their attention. They're raising their hand. They're reaching out to speak to you. When you do this right, another example would be Dr. Jake Deakins out of Spokane, Washington, where he was basically at 2% profit margin. And in the first 30 days of changing his marketing and making it work the right, proper way, he went from 20K a month to 60 grand a month in the first 30 days. That's $40,000, took his profit margin from 2% to 67%. Absolutely amazing stuff. Now, before we go into the whole live Q&A thing, just to make sure you understand why we're doing this and why you should listen to us. Well, that's me on the left there. That's Ellie on the right there. That's us battling on NBC against some American Ninja Warriors in the Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge. Is that since 1995, I have personally led teams responsible for a collective $4 billion in sales from some companies you may have heard of: Disney, Volvo, Seagram's, Mack Trucks, BASF, Comcast, Cyanamid. That's probably the one most people haven't heard of. They're in the agricultural chemical space, up there with Monsanto. Not quite as evil. I don't even think they're around anymore. But I worked with marketing and sales team in those companies since 1995. We've got a book out there. You know, everybody has a best-selling book if you put it on Amazon, but we could say, it's fun to say we've got a best-selling book in like 13 different Amazon categories, but we've also been in quite a few, there we go, been in quite a few media outlets. We've been featured in a lot of places, been on a cover of magazines and things like that. And then it's also important to understand that between just Ellie and I, this does not include the rest of our team, just the two of us, we've got 47 combined years of industry experience in the health and wellness since 2000. Specialty services, retail, and manufacturing, all three areas. So we really understand customer sales and customer service. Since 2011 and incorporating Move Think Smile, we've helped people like you add an additional 5 million in collective net profit from the health companies that we've been supporting. And then when we launched our very first health and wellness offer way back in the day, we went from zero to $267,000 in revenue in less than a year. So just to kind of show you that we know what we're talking about, we've got a lot of great experience here. But it's not about us, it's about you, and it's about focusing on a much better prospect, that magic pill seeker versus the impact seeker. So the magic pill seeker is the wrong person. But most of the messaging out there, most of the marketing we see, because of the way that it's constructed, and it has mostly to do with the words that you're coming, are literally camouflaging what health and wellness businesses actually can do for people. And that is significantly improving physical, mental, and or emotional health. So we want to change that focus today from the magic pill seeker to the impact seeker. So more of the right people are saying yes, but they're not just saying yes, but they're saying yes to the right price. So it's that trifecta win. They're having great success with their health. You've got great sales, great profit coming in, and you're actually enjoying the process instead of hating your company and asking, why did I even get into this in the first place? I didn't think it was going to be this hard. When we're out there, I want you guys to draw 3 circles on a piece of paper right now, because this is where we're diving into the strategic stuff. And then this is going to be real quick, and then we're going to go live and open it up for questions. When we're deciding on impact strategy, the 3 circles we need to look at: number 1, how do we optimize your streams of revenue and profit? A lot of people only look at sales and they don't look at profit margin. We need to look at both and how you optimize those. There are internal streams of revenue with people who are already working with you, and there are external streams of revenue with new client acquisition. New client acquisition, most people get stuck in that phase and don't realize that they can actually make more money with just having a few people coming in and maximizing their lifetime value. And we will speak to that. Number 2, you've got to maximize client results while maximizing your revenue streams. If you're not impacting somebody's life, this stuff doesn't matter. Yes, you can have a quick boost in sales, but it's not going to last long-term unless you're getting people the results that they're looking for that they're not currently getting from our traditional healthcare system. And number 3, you've got to maximize your time freedom. And when you overlap those 3, we want to create the impact zone. This is the predecessor for any marketing and sales strategy that we work with, and we're going to help you guys with today. Now, when we're talking about marketing strategy, it is very, very simple. Getting out there and doing things, it doesn't really take that much, but it's not necessarily easy. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that you're out there impacting more clients, impacting more sales, impacting more profits in a positive way, because you can impact them in a negative way if you're not careful. That's really easy to do if you mess it up. So in the grand scheme of things, there are 5 steps here. So make sure you're taking notes. Number 1, structure. This is all about uncovering hidden revenue that lies in your business already. What I mean by this is a lot of people don't understand that they simply, by repackaging what they already do, they can triple to quadruple their sales in 30 days. Triple to quadruple their sales in 30 days. I highlighted Jake Porter, then I highlighted Jake Deakins. They're both Jakes. They're not related. They just have the same first name. 2, messaging. So under structure, we want to make sure that your clients are getting the strongest results possible in the shortest period of time. And we want the revenue coming in. Then we want to make sure we turn around and we create very powerful messaging that attracts those impact seekers. If we don't have our messaging spot on, most people will skip this part and they'll go straight to marketing. So if you think about it like this, if structure is the shop that we're setting up, messaging is the sign that we're going to hang out the store, marketing is where do we put the sign. And there's internal marketing versus external marketing. Most people are so concentrated on external marketing and getting lead generation and getting new clients that they are overlooking acres of diamonds and opportunity with people that are already in their warm network. And we can talk about that. Once we have the marketing down, then we need to get into sales. And this is all about increasing conversion rates so more people are turned into paying customers. It doesn't matter if you have a high impact, or what other people will call a high ticket price of $3,000 or more or a flat fee, or if you're doing hourly sessions. There is a way to get out there and convert more people. It doesn't matter if the first is it's $1 that you charge, $27 charge, or if it's $27,000 that you charge. There's a way to convert people into more paying customers and then getting their lifetime value to be up between $5,000 and $10,000 every year. And when we do that, that's when we're impacting clients' sales and profits. So with that, what I want to do right now is I want to stop sharing and I want to go ahead and turn it over to Paula and Elia and Lonnie and let me know what kind of questions do we have, guys, and where can we really dive into helping people right now? Elia?
All right. So let's see. We haven't had any questions come through on the chat box. So I just want to remind everybody, go ahead and put your questions in the chat box. And Adam and I will go ahead and dive right in. So what are the main topics you're looking for support on? And as specific as you can be. And remember, this is your opportunity to ask any question.
Yeah, we're here to give you guys support. Like this is what we do like every day with our clients. So this is complimentary. So if you have a question, ask it. If it's how do I get more clients? I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole if you want, but it really just depends. Like the more specific you are, the more that we could do. So who has, well, let me ask this. Raise your hand, hit a one. What was in the third circle? In the third circle was time freedom. And the third circle was you, the business owner. Basically making sure that you're not strapped to a computer 24/7, blogging your butt off and blitzing social media. That's what okay, here we go. All right. So Holly, what platform is the best to launching a new business? So Holly, do you have camera and audio?
What platform is best for launching a new business?
There's Holly.
Hi.
Okay. So
I was trying to sneak in lunch. Sorry.
yeah. It's okay. We all got to do that. We got to eat. So what's the core focus of your health and wellness business? So what's your background?
So I'm a nurse. I'm a yoga instructor. I'm one of those. I actually messaged you on Messenger earlier.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that is really sensitive to things like, we had a sewer leak at work. No one else seemed to be bothered by anything but the smell. I had a headache before anybody could even smell it. I was outside vomiting by the time they could smell it. I was up in the middle of the night with heart palpitations afterwards. Like I'm like that with everything. If I go out to eat, I can taste preservatives in food. My system's fragile. I'm like, so like I've spent my lifetime like healing from things. So, I've almost completed a functional nutrition coaching program.
Okay.
But I've done tons of research, I don't know, for the past 15 years to try to keep myself well.
Okay.
So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of things. I'm kind of my family's healer. My friends go to, when they have things like that. So, functional nutrition is really what I want to do.
Okay.
I want to help people, understand their bodies more, be more self-aware of like what they're putting into them, and be a support system for them. Because if you don't have support anywhere, everything that they're doing seems normal and isn't, just because it's common. So
you're speaking to the choir. Just remember that.
Yep, I know.
All right, cool. All right. So Holly, so in regards to your business, so when you say what platform is the best for launching a business, tell me more about that. Like, what are you looking for specifically?
Well, I have a lot of the people that I've been helping in person are people that I met through yoga. So like I'm a yoga instructor, and, people talk to me from yoga and then I end up being a support system for them through yoga. So I really want to turn this into an online business.
Okay.
I don't have a brick and mortar business place where I could actually launch a business. And I kind of want the flexibility of working remotely. So,
Got it.
But yeah, I don't know if like what platform would be the best way to start putting content out there or how to go about it.
Okay, cool. How to get clients.
Yes.
How do I get clients? What's the best platform to get out there? Okay, so this is always the magic question. I'm going to start with the general statement and we'll dive down a little bit more specific. So what is one of the most basic innate human needs that we all have?
There's a lot of them.
Right. Well, I mean, okay. First of all, we have survival, right? We have food and water and shelter, right? So if we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's kind of the bottom. Once we get that, then we start going up the needs. But right there in the middle, there is sociability.
Okay.
Exactly. Right. So what happens when somebody's body is not operating at 100%? It's not in homeostasis. They're probably not getting the social that they used to get. Right.
Correct.
So what we do to get that is then we then turn to social media. So depending, and this is a very tricky question, it depends on your offer and it depends on your target audience. Facebook is or Meta, I'm going to say Meta overall, is a great place to start, but we don't know if it's Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp or one of the other ones. But typically starting there is going to be give you the best bang for your buck, because that's where most people are hanging out. Most people will see your stuff and most people will take action. Obviously, with algorithms and the way things change, that could change overnight, but knock on wood, if history doesn't repeat itself tomorrow, that's typically where we start. Like that's the best platform.
So would you encourage people to just start putting content on their personal page? Would you encourage them to create a business page? Both? Like use your personal page to funnel people to your business page, or like what would you do?
Elia.
Yeah. So I think the easiest thing to think about when it comes to Facebook and how you can leverage it is to start a group, because then you have basically a closed room, a closed area where you can upload all of your content. Heck, you can even have two groups. You can have a private Facebook group for just your paid clients, and then you can have a public Facebook group for potential clients. And you can upload your content and information there. And I always like to say that a Facebook group is like a living email list. You can just see faces. You can interact with people more in a group than you can on an email list. So the least expensive option, and what we've seen a lot of people do, is start a Facebook group and start inviting people into it. Right. And you can invite people from your personal page into it. You can go into other platforms and invite people over and that sort of thing. So it's definitely one of the easiest places to start that's free. And one of the biggest things that we always really remind entrepreneurs is there is no best platform. There are a zillion and one platforms out there that you could choose from. It's basically just pick one that feels pretty easy for you and start doing something, right? Start posting, start putting things out there, because trying to figure out which is the best software is a rabbit hole you'll spend months down, right? You'll spend months down. But Facebook is definitely one that's an easy start.
So okay. to stack on what Ellie is saying, please do not just go out there and start posting content. Think strategically. We see so many people go out there just posting stuff and they get distraught because nobody reacts to their stuff and nobody takes any action. This is why we had structure, messaging, then marketing, then sales. Before you go out there, you start putting your things out in front of other eyeballs for them to see it. It is so important for you to dial in who I'm going to help and how I'm going to help them. Then really work on how am I going to communicate my true value. So anything I say in a conversation, whether it be in a coffee shop or doing a video on Facebook, or anything I write in an email or a post or an ad, takes people from who the heck is Holly to Holly, thank you for taking my money, but doing it in a high integrity, ethical way. So getting that messaging strategy is those first two will then dictate what do we do as far as marketing goes. Because what ends up happening is so many people jump to the placement, the media buying, that they overlook. The next thing you know, they're like, I hate Facebook. It doesn't perform. Ads suck. Nothing works.
So are we talking about the first two next then?
we could dive into a little bit of that too. As far as Facebook groups go, I will say, if you've seen any of our stuff, I will say, and I'll say it again, any marketing strategy can work. There's not one size fits all that fits everybody. But the problem is most people treat their businesses like other people treat their business, and they're not honoring the bio-individual needs of their business. So if you're a health coach or you're a functional medical practitioner or integrative health, when somebody comes into you, do you tell them all to eat exactly the same diet? No, because what might be food for me could be poison for you. Right? We all have different genetics. We all have different problems. We're all different heal. But most people in the health and wellness space all try to treat their business the same and try to follow a one size fits all strategy. This is why you've got to be very, very careful with, there's a lot of people out there. Now, I've been in marketing since 1995. I don't want to diss on marketers, but unfortunately, since 1995, with the advantage of the internet, there are a lot of people who think they're marketers and they're not.
I have zero marketing and business experience. So.
Well, what I mean is that they're really good at selling you something and then giving you the marketing strategy that they use to sell you, but it doesn't work in your industry.
Okay.
Does that make
That makes
sense?
sense. Yes.
So you really want to look at, I want to understand my tribe. I want to understand my target audience. I want to understand where they're living. Facebook, most people are going to be able to do really well on Facebook and or Instagram or a combination of those two. It just really depends on who you're going for. Followed by, once you dial that in, then you go over to something like YouTube and Google. So a lot of people will start with YouTube and Google and struggle when they should actually start with Meta because it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot faster. It's a lot easier to get data back and to fine tune your stuff. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So
Like,
as
how
far
do you
as
create an ad where people can click to, acquire email addresses?
that is a whole 3-hour training, but they're,
Yeah.
they're, Facebook has it. Meta has what they call an ads manager, and let's not focus on that right now. That's actually something that there's so many tutorials on Facebook to do, but let's pretend we've got your messaging down, right? Let's pretend you've got your offer down. We know exactly who we're speaking to, and we want to get in front of the right eyeballs. When Ellie was talking about Facebook groups, if you're doing less than $30,000 a month, we highly encourage you to be doing a Facebook group using some type of a group funnel. Some people will use that as their primary marketing strategy, and some people will diversify and use that as a secondary strategy too. The reason we suggest doing this if you're under 30 grand, because if you're under 30 grand a month, you're typically still figuring it out. Your business will always be evolving. And with a Facebook group, it's like having $1 million focus group for free. I know, because I used to work for companies like Leo Burnett back in the 90s, where they would send me to Japan or Australia or Canada or the UK or France to do a focus group, and they would spend $1 million on it just to go ask some questions to get to know people. You can do that right now in your own Facebook group. The tough part is, one, just getting people in there, which is actually easier than it seems. And then two, how to create engaging content so you get interaction back with people, so they feel like you're trusted, that you're an authority and things like that.
So what would be, like, say, my first 3 steps? What should I do in terms of the marketing aspect? Like, what, or pre-marketing?
Yeah. Number
Like,
one, get your offer down. So this
okay,
is
I have a mindset, like, my offer.
okay. So this is basically like the niche,
Okay.
right? The dreaded word. Everybody's like, what's my niche? What's my niche?
Okay.
A niche is nothing more than a focus of a single marketing campaign. It's not what you do for the rest of your life. So if you're in the health and wellness space, more than likely you have a talent that can help a lot of different people with a lot of different problems, right? And Ellie, you kind of speak to this because, like, our client Rachel was really stuck on this for a while too, right? It's like, but I can't narrow down. I can't narrow down. It's like, now, Ellie, are we asking people to narrow down? Or are we asking them just to get focused so people actually pay attention to what they're saying?
Yes, number 2. And the other thing that's really important is it helps you understand what to write. Because how many people have been like, I need to do some social media posting, or I need to put stuff out there. And then you're just like, your mind goes blank and you're kind of like, what do I even write? I don't know. And you start to get confused about who you're speaking to. And then suddenly the messaging becomes a very general, right? And suddenly it's filled with what we like to call platitudes, right? Where it's just kind of like, just like, hey, live your best life, or whatever it might be, right? So it's really important to know specifically who this message is going to be for, so you can really write for them. And you'll find that your ideas come a lot easier once you're really clear on that.
Well, I struggle with, like, I listened to what you said earlier, and in my head, I'm going, if I create groups, I have no one in them. So even if I had, like, my first paid client, like, I can't put them in a group by themselves, like,
Yes, you can.
it would just, yes,
you
I can.
Yes,
Yes,
you
I can.
can.
Okay.
So remember, so we're mixing two things here. We have a forward-facing public marketing group, and then we have a fulfillment group where we actually work with clients. And that's only if you need to have a group. And I can tell you right now, even if you're going to do a group model, like we did with our fatigue program, nobody cares if there's anybody else in it. Only you do.
Okay.
And it's a very, very hard mental thing to wrap around. The thing is, what you need to do right now, so you were asking, what's step number 1? And I'm going to share this slide again so we could just all be on the same page. This is why I shared this in the beginning. And that is, getting the structure of your offer down. What is the offer? How much are you going to charge? Who is your target audience? Who are
Okay,
we going to get out there and help?
I feel like I've got that.
Okay, what is it?
Um, I want to help people with autoimmune disease.
Okay.
And as I think I can make a significant enough impact in 3 months that that would be my initial offer. And $2,800 is what I think I should charge for that.
Okay. Let me ask you two questions. I like where you're at. I will say right now, if you go out there if you take autoimmune disease and put that to your messaging and start marketing that, you're probably going to fall flat.
Okay.
But if you micro niche, which autoimmune disease are you really passionate about helping?
See, that's to me, that is micro because to me, they're all related. um,
Right.
I had Hashimoto's. I say had, I have my antibodies at 0.
Cool.
I don't have symptoms anymore. I used to have all kinds of symptoms, so like that's probably the one that I'm most passionate about. But like gut issues, I don't have any history of gut issues, but it has a lot of appeal to me because I know of a lot of people who do.
Right. Okay. So again, gut issues is like autoimmune. If you go out there and say, I help with gut health, it's going to fall over people's faces.
I'm thinking like Crohn's disease, things like that.
You say Crohn's disease, people are going to perk up. So for example, let's say you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, whatever your thing is, and you come across something that says, I am the best in the world at helping people with autoimmune diseases. Click here and I'll show you how to fix it naturally. Option number 2, please, before you get your thyroid removed, there's a better way to handle Hashimoto's and getting all the same benefits. Your hormones are in homeostasis and working together. Which one would you click on?
I gotcha. Okay.
So again,
well, I would really love, to help people before they get on medication. Like, have you been newly diagnosed with thyroid issues or autoimmune, or Hashimoto's, before you spend a year on medication, talk to me.
Exactly. So this is where step number 1 is getting the structure of the offer down. What is going to be the disease or dysfunction that we're going to make the focus of this marketing campaign? Who's the audience? Meaning we're going to micro niche down. We can't just say Hashimoto's. We need, because there's tons of people with Hashimoto's. I was diagnosed with it. What kind of person with Hashimoto's? Are we talking about corporate women, corporate moms? What are we talking about? The more, it sounds crazy, but the more that we micro niche, the more powerful your marketing becomes.
Would newly diagnosed count as a micro niche?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. It could be thrown in there. It's like, hey, if you just got diagnosed with Hashimoto's in the past 3 months, you're going to want to pay attention to this. But this is only for moms between the ages of 40 and 60 who are working corporate jobs. So we want to qualify the type of person that we want to bring in. Because if you don't, when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And people will disqualify themselves very fast from your marketing and not follow through to your call to action. And that call to action is always to purchase something from you, either hiring your services or whatever it is that you're putting out there. Does that make sense?
It does.
So number 1, we need to understand who the audience is, what the offer is, micro niche down, what the price is. At $2,800, why not be at $3,000?
Okay.
And here's why. Something magically happens in the sales psychology of a North American buyer or English speaking buyer. That's Canada, United States, UK, Australia, New Zealand. Something magically happens, and it may change with inflation. But at $3,000, all of a sudden, this person actually feels like they have skin in the game. So you get somebody who shows up and actually does what you tell them to do. And so your success rates skyrocket. It doesn't happen at 2,500 or 2,700, 2,800. It happens at $3,000. So I just want to throw, that's not to say you couldn't have $2,800, but that's just something out there. So once we got that down, then we go into step number 2, messaging. And this is basically constructing very, very short, simple, powerful things. Because if somebody's got Hashimoto's, I can tell you what's not operating at a collegiate level: their brain. Right? So you got to make sure your messaging is super simple, especially just to use their thumb to go through easy digestible sentences that have a point that gets them to take the next step. And so when we're talking about marketing, I want everybody to write this down. Marketing is a journey that we take somebody on. It is not something that we do to people. This is a big distinction. Every time you put something out there, so think about this. So let's say you're going to the top of a giant mountain. Let's call it Success Mountain. It's 14,000 foot tall, and there's a path going up to the top of this mountain, and it's very treacherous. If you're in a national park and you're out in the middle of nowhere, like a Big Bend, and you're on a trail and it's just a desert everywhere, if you miss the signpost, guess what happens? You get lost and stranded real fast. Same thing with marketing. You want to make sure that you're always giving people the signpost that's easily seen that gets them to make it to the next piece of your marketing. You want to make sure that what you write in this sentence is going to make them to want to consume the next line and on down the line. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How do you feel about like videos, like having like, hey, kind of messaging, but then have a video to follow it up?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, videos are good. Written communications are good. And honestly, the best way to do it is to diversify.
Okay.
It's a diversity. How long should my messages be? All over the place. You should have ones that are 20, you should have ones that are 20 words long. You should have some things that are 2 hours long.
When I was at the peak of my brain fog, I really relied on video messaging because I didn't have the attention span to like read a big post even. Like I really didn't.
That's understanding your market, right? And that's where we really excel in helping our clients writing that messaging. And we call the process think talk. You want to learn how to talk like people think when they're not feeling good and put it at a first grade level. That makes sense.
It does.
All right, Holly. Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's move on to some other questions we've got coming in here.
So Adam, I think a good segue, there's a couple questions here I want you to tackle, but a good segue is a question from Kirk on what's the best platform to get good clients. And I think, again, here, this is a great question because as we're famous for saying, it's like any marketing strategy can work. So any platform can also work for getting clients. It's really about, again, what Adam has been highlighting here, which is your offer, your messaging, and who it is that you're pulling in to you. Because we've seen businesses do incredible things with like just a Google document, right? And sending people from an online platform into a Google document. We've seen people do amazing things with all the best software in the world. And so again, it usually typically always comes down to what is that offer and what is the messaging and is it really strong? And again, as Adam said, what type of experience are people having with your company as they're moving through your marketing, the journey of your marketing and experiencing that? So Adam, is there any platform you want to highlight in particular?
Yeah, this kind of extends off of Holly's question. And the answer is, I don't know the right answer, Kurt, unless I know your offer and your audience. And so typically the general answer is going to be the best platform is going to be some type of digital platform. That's usually going to be the best unless you have access to doing some type of presentation in front of live audiences at like a wellness center, a gym, a YMCA, or something like that. But then you got to be really, really careful. Because if you go to Planet Fitness and do a big presentation, these people are focused on $10 a month memberships. So they're probably not really focused on spending a lot of money on their health. They're always looking for the bargain. So you got to really strategically calculate, how am I going to get my message out there and where am I going to put it? Best platform. Again, I'm going to say starting with Instagram or Facebook, depending on what your thing is. If you're an Instagram lover and you've been on Instagram forever, use Instagram. If you love Facebook, there's not a right or wrong way. Typically, you will see less response on Instagram, but the quality of the person who responds is better, meaning that they're more likely to purchase. Whereas on Facebook, you'll probably get a lot more people reacting to your stuff because it's a larger platform, but the quality will be a little bit lower. So you have to just play the numbers and kind of figure it out there. Kurt, does that help? Is Kurt here?
No, I don't think he's here. I was just looking for him, but I don't see him. And then Julie has a good question to stack onto this too, which is like, how do I get an email list when no one responds to my advertising?
How do I get an email list when no one? So where's Julie? Is she here? Julie, if you're here, turn on your audio and tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
I don't see a Julie here.
Julie Perote. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But it is a great question. So, I mean, I think we need a little bit more detail to know what your advertising is.
Okay. So if nobody is responding to your advertising, one of two things is happening. Either the message that you're using is not resonating with people, and or you're not getting the right message in front of the right audience.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we see happen, and it's usually a combination of the two. You can have the right audience all day long, but if you're speaking in platitudes, meaning that if I say autoimmune disease or if I say gut health, that can mean different things to different people. Everybody has their own definition of it. But if I say lupus, everybody knows what that means. If I say Hashimoto's, everybody knows what that means. If we're going out there and we're using messaging like be the best you that you can be, I understand where you're coming from, but it's not going to get you any traction. If you're out there selling health coaching or life coaching or functional medicine or integrative healing or the modality, nobody wants to purchase preventative medicine, but they will handsomely pay for what those things get them. Just like with weight loss. Weight loss is the most cutthroat industry in the market, but we have our clients are getting out there and they're doing 100 grand within a short period of time because they're changing their messaging because they understand that people don't want to buy weight loss. They want to buy what weight loss gives them. And weight loss and any type of health thing gives somebody peace of mind. It also gives them confidence and it gives them free will. And think about it like this. If you've got an energy offer, you've got fatigue out there, people don't want more energy. What they want is they want the free will to be able to go do things whenever they want. Does that make sense? And so learning how to position that to your market. So once you get your messaging down, then it is like, okay, well then how do I make sure I'm in front of the right eyeballs? And this is where Meta and Google have made it very, very difficult. It used to be before the privacy concerns and the Senate got involved and all that, you could literally go in there and say, okay, all my people follow Tony Robbins, but they hate MC Hammer. Like you could literally do that. You can't do that anymore. You can't do negative targeting as much. A lot of the big interests have been taken away. You can't target people who are actively searching for diet books or weight loss. Like they've taken a lot of that away. So this is where things like precision targeting come in handy. And what I mean by precision targeting, and this is something that really is like 6 months young. And this is the ability to go in there and it's kind of like reverse SEO. You guys know what SEO is, right? Search engine optimization. Okay. So you go in there, you get a bunch of keywords, you build your blog articles, you put them onto your website or in the YouTube and stuff like that. And that people doing searches, your stuff will hopefully pop up in 1, 2, or 3 spot. Instead, what we're talking about doing is I can get a list of people within the past 7 days who are actively searching for what you do. So let's say you help people lower their A1C score naturally, put diabetes into remission. I can get a list of all the people who are searching for natural A1C help or how to lower my blood sugar or diabetes management alternatives. I can download all those people, take them, put them into a custom audience, upload it to Meta or Google, and only show your ad to people who are actively searching for your stuff. That's how you create a powerful audience. Does that make sense, everybody? All right, super cool. Super cool. So
Okay.
yeah, so Julie, so as far as like how to get an email list, I would go back, I would look at the structure, I would look at the messaging first, and then make sure we're putting it in front of the right eyeballs. That's how you do it.
Yeah. And I think, and again, too, obviously making sure that you have the right softwares in place or some way to capture those emails and that there is a interesting something that people want. So in exchange for your email. So those are all things too that are important. There's another one here from Jamie. If you don't have a large social media audience, where should you start? And what's the easiest way to close the sale? I feel like I have the skills, but once it comes to actually having someone pay, they want to think about it or suggest that they are going to continue on their own, et cetera.
All right, great question. Jamie, do you have audio? Because I see Jamie's here. Yes, and she got camera too. Cool. All right, so I'm going to take it. You must be in this fitness something since this is Jamie at Fitness on Tap.
Yes. And so unfortunately, I have a hard time narrowing down my niche because I'm a physical therapist. I also am a certified strength and conditioning specialist. So I do some personal training. I work for companies where I, teach classes. And then I help with like functional capacity, eval, determination of long-term care, disability, et cetera. So a jack of all trades, and which makes it difficult, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. So I'm going to highlight a couple of physical therapists that we've worked with. And just to kind of, what we want to do is let's go back to the structure of the offer. Okay. So physical therapist, you're just like a jack of all trades. I mean, you can help people with a lot of things. So Dr. Ingrid Ratz, what we did with her is we started focusing on hypermobility. So, where people like can take their hands and like their joints are just all whacked out. She focused on that, but not just hypermobility, moms between the ages of a certain age with certain age kids, like the same age of her kids. And what ended up happening is when we turned her offer, she literally closed her physical brick and mortar practice and went fully online with a 5K offer and worked with everybody online.
Great.
Yeah, which is super cool. Then we have Dr. Angela Turno, who's got a background in postpartum corrective exercise specialty, basically pelvic floor, right? How to help women with incontinence after having kids stop peeing when they cough or look sideways or pick up groceries or get in and out of the car or walk up and down the stairs. And right there, what we want to do, Jamie, is we really want to pick that niche. And again, this is not what you do for the rest of your life. This is just what it gets people's attention. And this is a horrible term, but it's the hook, right? It's the hook that gets someone's attention to get them on basically your messaging map to get them to take the marketing journey. And then that journey is then to the destination. So does that help with part one of your question?
A little bit.
A little bit. What can I explain more?
I mean, it's not honestly probably explaining. It's just that I guess I feel like I'm passionate about a lot of things. So it's hard for me to maybe say, okay, I want to do just this.
Right. Well, it's never that easy. And this is one of the first things that we really work with people on. So here's how to think about it. If I sent someone to your door right now and they're knocking and they're getting ready to hand you a $5,000, right, to help you, have you help them with a certain problem, what would be something that you could help them with that they could have some significant, I'm not saying being fully better, but what could they have some significant progress in a short period of time of like 7 to 14 days?
So if you're wanting an answer, I would probably say more maybe like a dynamic stretching prior to sports play. It seems like a lot of people don't have information on that. They tend to kind of do, again, the static stretching, which isn't as effective.
Okay. So we actually have literally a professional stretching client out in Colorado who works with golfers. And helps them.
I work with golfers and tennis players.
Yeah,
so I work in country clubs. So
okay, cool. Yeah.
To be more my...
Exactly. And it helps them get back to their game.
Right.
So where we want to think about an offer, it's like, okay, if I'm going to get out there and have an offer and I want some cash flow to come in, one, we want to make sure that there's enough people that have this problem. So typically that magic number is 1 million. Are there 1 million people in the United States or North America, including Canada, that have this problem that I could help them with? And in most cases, it's going to be yes. Then we need to say, okay, is this something that I need to physically be present with? If so, that's cool. We can do a regional thing. Or is this something that I don't necessarily need to be physically present with, but I can actually help them and coach them and guide them? Because that will expand the audience and the amount of people we're talking to. Make sense? And then also I would say, take a look at, okay, so if stretching is something you can help people with fast, think about it like this. In the past 6 months, what trends have you seen? Are there like 1, 2, or 3 things that are more commonly occurring than anything else of people you're helping?
Probably back pain is one. I mean, and then of course, depending, you get like the tennis elbow or golfer's elbow, like that type of.
Exactly. And what happens when somebody gets back pain?
Then they feel debilitated and they can't do anything.
Yeah, right. Could you help them alleviate the back pain in a relatively short period of time?
Yes.
Boom. You've got a strong offer. Tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, carpal tunnel, whatever it might be. What happens when you have that? You don't play.
Yeah, you stop playing the game, or you keep playing the game and you get worse.
Your release is golf or tennis, just like with runners, their release is running, right? And if you can't do that, you start going insane, right? You just want to get back to playing again. Boom, you have another powerful offer. Does that make sense?
Yes, I appreciate just the talking it out helps.
Yeah, for sure. So it's really just like, and yes, and the cool thing is you can have multiple offers down the road, but what we want to do is we want to start with one that people will start raising their hand to, saying, I'm interested as soon as possible, that we can then easily convert into a paying client. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So going into your second part of your question, and that is having to think about it. But Ellie raised her hand. I think she wants to chime in.
Oh, I was gonna chime in about that last thing about thinking about it. But yeah, go ahead, Adam, and then I'll chime in.
Yeah. So think about it. So if you get one of these three objections, a money objection, that's too much, right? Or I don't have the money. I need to think about it, or I need to talk to my partner, my spouse, my husband, my wife. 9 times out of 10, what's happening is they are lacking certainty and confidence in what you do. They do not see that paying you is going to help get them the results that they actually want. And so when we're speaking to somebody and we're having what we call an enrollment conversation, it's a sales conversation, right? But we're in health and wellness space and nobody likes sales, so we'll call it an enrollment conversation. When we're speaking to somebody, we want to make sure that we're using really powerful empowerment techniques by using strategic questions to get that person to build up intrinsic motivation. So the idea to hire you is theirs, that they're not being externally motivated.
Excellent.
That makes sense. So if you guys don't know the difference between external and internal motivation, who's ever bought a car before? Raise your hand. Yay. Okay. Who loves the car buying process?
No one.
Probably you were a car salesperson. Of course you do. But most people don't, right? So external motivation is like, oh, you got to get in now before the financing rates go up, right? Or a fast action discount. It's like, hey, I'll give you $10 off right now if you make a decision today. Those are the worst things to do for the health and wellness space because it ignores the person's ability to make their own decision. And we need to create what they call the buying pocket. So right here is the center is the buying pocket. If we're on this spectrum over here, they think they can go do it themselves. If we're on the other side of the spectrum, they think your competitor can do it better than you. And so we want to create this buying pocket to where they see you as the bridge from the daily hell of having these problems to the heaven, and that you are the only bridge to get them there. And we want to make sure that we're building emotional internal tension into them so it's their idea. It's kind of like Jamie, did you ever see the movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, if you get a chance to go look it up.
All right.
Basically, the whole movie is about getting into people's dreams and modifying their dreams to make them do something because it was their idea.
Nice.
Now, we're not modifying people's thoughts. We're not beating them over the head with a sales commission baseball bat or anything like that. But it's really using that kind of thing. We want it to empower them to make the best decision for themselves using the right questions. So they see that it's far more risky to stay where they are than it is to hire you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So
and then the one thing I just want to stack on that really quick is, and I think this is one that everybody falls into the trap pretty easily of, and I'm being reminded of this, of course, as we're talking about this topic and stretching and golfing, is our client who had the stretching offer. It's like, let's say you do want to have a price point of a couple $1,000s. And she's like, I don't know, people don't seem to see the value. And it's like, well, if you're selling stretching, they probably aren't going to see that value because she's talking all about, oh, I do this stretching for you and that stretching. It's going to help you do all these things. She really wasn't using strong languaging and messaging around what they're buying is not the stretching. What they're buying is getting back on the golf course with their buddies and winning a couple of rounds and not having to buy everyone beers at the end because they're back on the course. And so the stretching is just how she's going to get them there. But there was a big shift for her when she stopped selling stretching and she started selling the result they wanted. And it seems simple and maybe even a little bit trite, but it's really easy to fall back into this conversation around all the ins and outs of what they're getting. And then people's minds just think, oh, stretching, is that something that I want? Is that something that's really important? So messaging is equally important when you're having the sales conversation as it is in your marketing efforts, right? Whether that's a social media post or a paid ad or anything like that.
So then should some of those questions that you all are referring to be more kind of emotionally connected, where it does sort of stimulate that part of their brain to an extent, right? To
Yes.
want to
Yes.
desire the offer.
Mhm.
Yes. But you also want to make sure you're doing it in a heartfelt way, that you're not intruding on them.
Mhm.
So it's very strategic, and it's a little different for every person, but basically the overall conversation is kind of like, hey, so like, tell me what's not working with your, talk about back pain. So what's not working with the back right now? All right. So you do some probing questions. You say, okay, how long has this been going on? I mean, you're a regulated practitioner. You know how this works. It's like going to the doctor.
Mhm.
What hurts? Where else does it hurt? How long has it been going on? So you take the doctor frame. And okay, what have you tried to fix it? How have the results been so far? What do you need the most help with? And, is this something you're looking to take care of now? Right. And when you're asking these basic questions, you're also going to be asking things like, so why do you think you still have the back pain even though you've tried these things? Why is this important for you to fix this? Okay, why else? And so we're really wanting to figure out what we call the truth of the problem. And so there are two goals on any call. One, to identify, do they actually have something that we can help them fix ethically? That's very important, because if we can't help them, then we shouldn't sell them, right? It's not ethical. Number two, if we can help them, do they understand the truth of the problem? And that is, if they don't fix this, what's actually going to happen? And that is, the life is going to get suckier, right? Because nobody with a disease or dysfunction, life gets better. It always degrades slowly over time. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower, but the only thing that's constant is it always gets worse. And then you could also argue, number three, are they cool enough to work with? Like, are you going to enjoy working with them? No, it's important. It's important because if you enroll somebody that is going to be a pain in the butt, even though they want to hand you $10,000, it's going to bite you. It's going to bite you later, and you're going to just wish that you never did that, and you're going to regret doing it. So it's really important to learn how to qualify. Does that help, Jamie?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Super cool. Super cool. Real quick, everybody, just so you guys have, I put a link in the box, movethinksmile.com/impact. So if you want kind of like a quick video overview of what we talked about at the beginning of the presentation with impact seekers and magic pill seekers, and kind of a little bit down a rabbit hole, there's a 13-minute video there. Feel free to go check it out and take a look at it. Also, there's a lot of other kind of cool stuff on that page you might find useful too. Let's see here. So Jamie, anything else? Are we good? I think we're good. All right, Ellie, where are we jumping into next?
Sorry, yes, I appreciate your help.
Yeah, for sure. Ellie, you're muted.
I'm going to loop back up to the top. Sean has a question about help me create a compelling offer, and then we'll move down to Charmel's question.
Yeah.
But first we'll do a powerful fatigue offer.
Help you increase your energy. I mean, it's really that simple. It really is. It's more about who you're going to help than what you're going to help. So a powerful offer when it comes to fatigue is you've got to micro niche down to a very specific population. And you have to understand exactly why the fatigue is happening. So fatigue being the most common symptom across all diseases and dysfunctions could mean anything. And if you don't get out there and qualify it, you will attract people like we did in the beginning with stage 4 cancer that you can't help. And so you have to understand, as an integrative nutrition health coach, which Sean and I both have the same background, that you've got to make sure that you understand who do you really want to help and what's the goal of having more energy. So if you're going to create a compelling offer, it's like for us, our offer really dialed in when we really started telling people we were going to help you do a Spartan race. We're going to help you do a Spartan race. We're going to help you get out there. We're going to help you do your first one. We're going to do a sprint. It's going to be between 3 and 5 miles long. We'll make sure you don't break in half in the process. You might cry along the way a little bit and wish you would go home, but we're not going to let you. We're going to make sure you have enough energy so you get to the end, get your t-shirt, get your medal. And that's what got people interested. And so for me, I started attracting a lot of men my age who wished they had the same type of energy I did. And so that's what you need to look at if you're going to have a fatigue offer and almost any offer out there. And it's really about like, who can I really help? And who is going to really identify with me that, and they're going to believe me when I say it.
So you know what I do for a living during the day, and I do that, and I help them on the supplement side, and I see the results on a day-to-day basis. but I need to take it out of that retail supplement and into a coaching environment.
Yep.
Because that's where the money is, right? Because I'm already seeing that on a day-to-day. The issue that I'm having right now, I think, is I've got the domains, like, okay, website, we could put something together real quick, but I'm thinking, I think I'm stuck at this point where I'm going, okay, what do I put on this website? And, I feel like, do I need to send somebody there? Like when I'm talking to them, like in the stores, and said, I can help you with this. And, am I talking to them about the pricing right off the bat? Like, hey, what is it going to cost you? Or it's like I'm having a problem kind of getting to that next step. And I feel like, okay, throw them over to a website, because I can't really have this whole discussion with them in a store. I mean, I can sometimes, but not always. And then schedule a call with them. And then is this where I'm going through the kind of the Q&A, like, let's go, like, what's going on in your life? Like, what's your lifestyle like? I mean, these are the things that I ask on a day-to-day basis, there to at least kind of help them on the supplement side, right? But I think, even on the reversing type 2 diabetes, it's I had a perfect customer yesterday, $400 sale, could have done it, end of the night, but I felt like these were magic pill savers, at the end of the day. And I almost, we're talking about CGMs and we're doing all this stuff in the store. I'm giving them all this free information in the store. Like, I should be charging for that. I should shut my mouth, talk to them, kind of give them like a teaser to say, why don't you contact me? And then once I do have that, they're like, sure, give me a call. Then, what am I telling them? Okay, I'll charge you $3,000. 3 months, I'll help you reduce your A1C. Or for a fatigue component, let's talk about sleep, stress recovery, get good sleep, better energy, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay,
I don't know. I'm stuck on this offer. Like, what do I, if it's a fatigue, I said I really want to focus on 2 niches, right? One is the fatigue, sleep, stress recovery. Then, that helps with the energy and the fatigue, the following days. I see that a lot, right? And then I'm thinking, like, how am I going to turn that into a program? Like, what am I charging them? Am I charging them $125 an hour, working with them once a week kind of thing? Like,
this is where we go back. This is where we go back and we look at structure. So the first thing you need to decide is, what disease or dysfunction do you want to focus on? Is it diabetes or is it fatigue? If it's fatigue, then we need to say fatigue from what? What is causing the fatigue? Then we need to say, okay, we know what's causing the fatigue. Who do I want to work with? So this is where offers, you can go out there, and if you're going to have like a low ticket thing, meaning it's less than $3,000, and you're like R.A. Whitten, who has the energy blueprint, and you're saying, here's how to get more energy. You can get $400 to $500 all day long from people coming in to take your course. But I can tell you right now, I know what Ari's success rate is, and it's less than 3%, because nobody finishes his course. Even though he's a smart dude and he does a lot of scientific research, and he's really, really all about, energy-backed science, or science-backed energy, science-backed health, science-backed wellness. Like I follow, I find some stuff in the research he does that I think are great, but his marketing, he's all about, and he's also about building an affiliate network. So he makes his money in a whole different way. He's not about transforming people. He's about getting you to buy his supplements.
Right.
That's what he wants. He wants people coming into his thing, kind of seeing what he can do, and then buying supplements and doing recurring revenue that way. And it's a model that can work.
The supplements are like a small part of it, right? Like, that's what I do in my day job, right? But what I really want is this Tuesday, Thursday, the 3 days I have off where I can actually do coaching. I want to be scheduling calls, and I want to be, signing up these coaching these clients, right? That's where I'm getting my warm leads from. But I'm having a hard time getting that transition around to, okay, like, what's the next step? Do I really need to have some fancy website, that kind of details, this is what my program looks like. And I'm not trying to do online coaching, group coaching, or some online course. I actually want to work with these people one-on-one, because we believe in that whole concept of bioindividuality, right? So,
well, that's cool. So you've got several questions there. You've got what's my offer? You've got how do I fulfill? And then you've also got, how do I market? So you have 3 different questions built into that last statement. The the marketing strategy is only determined once we have the offer down and we know who we're going to work with. So that's step number one. As far as, do I need all this fancy stuff in order to market? The answer is no. You do not need a website. You do not need to have all this stuff. Can it help you down the road in scaling your practice and scaling your business? Absolutely. It can help.
But just to get that first client to get going.
No. Jake Porter, the guy who I highlighted at the beginning, you know what he doesn't have? He does not have a website. He does not have a marketing funnel. He does not have a paid campaign. All he had was an email list. That's it. We wrote one email, and that one email we sent on January 24th turned into $162,000 by the beginning of March. So no. So don't let people tell you that you need to have this stuff. A website is a marketing strategy. Any marketing strategy can work. Is it wise to have one down the road? Yeah, maybe, but only after you absolutely dial in your messaging. Because what ends up happening is people get their websites together. They say, hey, I'm a health coach. I went to IIN, and then I took all the certification of hormones, and I've got all this. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And next thing you know, nobody's clicking on their stuff. You're not getting, the only people hitting your contact form are robots.
Right.
And so that's because the messaging is off. So you want to go back and you want to define, if it's fatigue, cool. Fatigue from what? Fatigue with who? And then once they get their energy back, what is it they want to do? You get specific in those 4 things and you will have a powerful fatigue offer.
So once you have this offer and you said, okay, I have that, then we're talking structure, right? Structure of how you structure your actual program.
Right. And working with people in the beginning, you don't need anything other than some type of a Zoom thing or Blue Jeans or Google Meet and an email. Like, you do not need these big fancy LMS systems. You do not need Kajabi. You don't need any of that stuff. Can it help optimize down the road? Yes. Can it help?
When we talk about $3,000, what is this? 3 months, once a week, 150 an hour kind of thing? Like, I mean, rather than break it down into an hourly thing, like how just because don't you think, how do you quantify $3,000? Do you show them, what is $3,000 worth to you, right? Like, the guy makes $300,000 a year. Fatigue, if I can help you with your fatigue issues, maybe it's a low testosterone, then everybody's going to value that $3,000 differently, correct?
Not if you got the same market coming at the same thing with the same result. So as far as timing goes, typically the general rule of thumb, and again, we got to go back and we can't just look at the fatigue. We have to look at exactly what the fatigues come from, your audience, your target, who you're helping, what result they want. But the general rule is, if you're going to go with a high impact offer, meaning your price is $3,000 or more, your program timing should be between 8 and 16 weeks at the max. If it's less than 8 weeks, it's not enough time for people to get things done and see significant improvements with their health. It's going to become overwhelming and they're going to drop off like flies and have refunds. If you go more than 4 months out, the law of procrastination sets in and they don't do anything and they start complaining and saying you suck. And so you want that front end offer to be somewhere in the 8 to 16 week. Now, there are exceptions. There are exceptions. We have a client, Ravinder, who's an acupuncturist who literally has a 3-week thing. And that's because he's so good at getting the back to re-trigger and start activating again. He gets rid of people's back pain literally in 2 sessions. But he also qualifies to make sure he can help them. Where we've also had people working very, very complex issues like Epstein-Barr, where 4 months is not enough time. It's got to be more like a year or 2.
Or like a 90-day.
But fatigue, but if it's general fatigue caused by lifestyle problems, typically 8 weeks is the way to go.
Okay.
You bring in.
So your cheat sheet program will show me a lot, right, of what I need to know there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It will do a lot. And just so you guys know, I'm going to put something else in the box right now. Ellie, you've got your hand up. So while you're doing that, I'll type in the box.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, this is just a good reminder too of all of the platforms and sort of where we started today when you're thinking about, Instagram or YouTube or Facebook groups. I mean, all of these platforms now, you can create your own little mini ecosphere, which is basically like a website. I mean, there are so many people that I follow on YouTube. I've never been to their website ever, but I follow their channel on YouTube. I know exactly what they're up to. I know what they got going on. I like their videos. I give them, money for coffee or whatever it is. And so just just that reminder that there are a lot of different places people can come check you out. Right. There are other apps, things called Stand Store, where literally you can just have one little page and you can have a couple of things to sell on it, and that's it. Right. So buyers are getting used to the fact that not everyone has a super fancy website. As long as they can see that you're a real human being, that you're actually, you know, that you care, that you have messaging that really resonates with them, you can use a lot of different ways to work with people. And Sean, for you, I just really want to remind you, I think, of a conversation we had a while back where you were talking about, I know so many people in tech that's like sit all day and stare at their computers all day, and they're exhausted and they're out of shape. And it's like, you can start there, right? That's a great place to start, because you know their pain points, you know their problems, you know what they're up against. And so when you speak fatigue, you can go, oh, I'm speaking about fatigue from the perspective of someone working too much behind the computer, from, you know, these tech guys. And so that gives you a level of niching that isn't necessarily you have Hashimoto's. It's just you're in tech and you have fatigue and you're like, you can't get through your day. Right. And so just kind of think about, there are a lot of ways to niche down in different categories, whether that's an age demographic, whether that's a career demographic, whether that's a disease demographic, whether that's, you know, so there's a lot of ways you can combo it.
And guys, this is something that we help people with. I mean, if you are looking for help, I put a link in the box for two reasons. One, if you click on it, there's a video on that page that actually goes down the rabbit hole of what exactly we do. So if at the beginning of the presentation, where I give like a 10-minute, like just crash course and kind of like impact seekers, magic pill seekers, and strategy and stuff like that, take a look at that. That's going to really help you. If anything, just watch that video. It's going to help you. And if you would like to chat with one of us to see if we can actually help you with your company and actually bringing in more clients, increasing lifetime value, getting more people to pay you, and while obviously making this world a healthier place and tipping the scales from sickness to wellness, come over to movethinksmile.com/apply. But let's kind of keep going here.
Yep.
Elia, and I see that Charmel's got a great question too. And Charmel, do you have audio?
Yeah, I have audio. Hi.
All right. Do you have camera?
You don't want that.
All right. So tell us a little bit about what you got going on. So you're a nutritional aesthetics practitioner, holistic health coach for skin. Got it.
Yes.
So you're formulating skincare. You got a small brand. And I'll let you tell the story. So what do you got going on over there? What do you need the most help with?
Yes. So I have two things going on. And the thing I'm trying to focus on the most right now is the coaching aspect. So yeah, health coaching for skin. Whereas my skincare products are kind of just support for that. But that's an older project. That's an older thing. The coaching is new. And so I've had just one single paying client so far. I had, 3 practicum clients prior to that. So I'm in the very beginning stages. And the one client that I got was a family friend. So I can't even say that I got it on just regular merits, right?
Got it.
She might say something differently because she's but anyway, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get out there. What I've been doing so far is like going to in-person events and trying to meet people face to face and collaborate with other practitioners in similar fields that, have my ideal clients as their clients already. And so in one of the ways that I do that, I have a friend who has an online course program. I'm not going to mention it because don't know if she wants me to do that, but she has offered to basically put out an announcement to her mailing list about my offering.
Okay.
And so I'm working to create a funnel landing page that she can send out to her audience. Okay. And I have a lot of questions about how I'm just beating my head against the wall with the tech and the integrations. And, I have a list of few questions there.
All right.
Yeah,
so basically,
she says, I was going to say, just so you know, she's got integration with a CRM website calendar. And how important is it to outsource tech?
Great question. First, before we go into how important is to outsource tech? Let's go into what tech do we really need? Because a lot of us think we way more tech than we do. So if we're doing a joint venture program, joint venture / affiliate, which if she's going to drop, your offer to her email list, the absolutely most simple thing that people could do is reply to you. You don't need any tech. Like you could literally just have them shoot you an email. Now,
so I don't need to have them go and like actually apply to work with me or apply. Oh, I guess this is where the second part of the questioning might actually help clarify where your answer is going to take me. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out whether having them apply for a consultation is a good thing to do, or having them just book a consultation. And if a consultation is even the right route to go. So my offering is 6 sessions over 12 weeks for $1,000. Okay. And I'm also trying to figure out like at what stage, when do they know what the potential investment will be? Because I know how I respond to things like that, which is not.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you got really good questions here. The first thing I would do, I'd really encourage you to take your price up. If you're going to do a pilot offer, start at $1,000, go to $2,000 and get it to the point where you're at $3,000 or more. Jean Kelly, who's here, she's in the skincare space too and specializes with acne. She's one of our clients. And we're making some pretty good progress with her. So just consider that, put that in the background. But let's get back to, okay. Is having a landing page and automations, this stuff is wonderful. It really makes life easy. But I think what happens is most people get so caught up that I have to have this first before I make money, that it actually interrupts the revenue stream and it causes a lot of undue stress. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying don't have a landing page. What I'm saying is it's not required to get this offer. What's required more than anything else right now, Charmel, is to get somebody handing you that dollar. Getting cash flow coming in. And we want to happen. It's called speed to lead. And we want to make that happen as fast as possible. And so what we need to look at is like, okay, what do I already have in place? If I could launch this thing this weekend or next week and I handed her the emails to send out, what would they need to do? So basically, she could send it out and send your email address and saying, hey, if this is something you're in on, just reply back and I'll connect you with Charmel. Like that's the most rudimentary and it works. Because when your friend actually then forwards you the message or responds back saying, hey, I just looped in Charmel, all of a sudden the psychology in the back end is like, oh my God, these are real people. Like they actually responded to me. It's way more powerful than sending them to a landing page. So, and then you can just take it from there and you can literally have a conversation. It's like, hey, yeah, I've got some ideas you might find helpful. Let me know if you're open to connecting. Again, let them say, yes, I would love to meet with you. Never send them your calendar link, just so you guys know. Never send somebody your calendar link unless they ask for it. That's another mistake we see people making all the time. Here's my calendar link, book a call. And it's like, I don't know why I'm not getting any calls, but it's because you're using external motivation instead of bidding internal motivation. Now, as far as tech goes, there's so many options out there, right? It's like everybody in our IT's got a CRM, there are landing page builders, there's everything. So what we need to look at is if we're going to do this, what we want to do at minimum is we want to build some type of an organic list. So we want to build, which email list is the first place to start. And then I would also couple that with having a Facebook group, a free Facebook group that's closed and private, but people can come into for free. And that way you can hit people from two sides. You can get them on your email list and you can also make this, if you send out an email, you can also post it in your group and vice versa. So you're syndicating your stuff and you've got two different lists going on. So we want to think about it like that. But as far as tech goes, it's like, okay, if I'm going to automate this thing, which is always something that we want to do as a business owner to save ourselves time, because automation and technology can really speed things up. What do I actually need? All right, let's say she sends out an email. So that's already taken care of. That's her thing. Somebody responds. Well, we got to have a page to take them to. Most email automation programs have some sort of landing page builder built into them now. So you don't necessarily need to have a separate website or lead pages or ClickFunnels or Kartra or any of that stuff. You absolutely can, but it's not necessary. Let's say you have ActiveCampaign, which is something that we really like. and you use their website builder. You could build your landing page in there. People fill it out and automatically it's ported into your email list. And then that way, then you can take them on the marketing journey. Just making sense so far?
Yeah. And what I have right now is I just signed up for Practice Better and System.io, which I think is similar to Active Campaign.
I think System.io.
And Shopify is my website.
Yeah, I think System.io is actually a rebranded Go High Level.
Oh.
If I remember right.
That's hilarious.
I think it might be a rebranded Go High Level. I might be getting System dot something else. Anyways, yeah. So any of these, Go High Level works, Active Campaign works. If you have ConvertKit, they've got a landing page builder. It's very, very rudimentary and basic, but it works. And so the main thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you have the ability to collect their contact information. And if they opt in, you absolutely want to get first name, last name, email, and phone number.
And that's what I'm wondering. Is it more important to try and get that contact information, like get them on a newsletter, for lack of a better term, that kind of thing, rather than having them trying to get them into a consultation?
Well, what you're going to do,
hierarchy.
Okay. So let's say, so are you thinking that the offer that you're going to send out there through your affiliate is going to go directly to book a call?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if you're not going to have a gateway offer and it's going to go directly to book a call, there are pluses and minuses to this. The plus is you're going to get calls booked. The minus is you're not going to build up an email list. You're not going to build up a warm network that you get people who want to book a call with you, but can't right now because you don't have time available to make matches their schedule.
That is my concern.
So what I would do is I would put a gateway on it. So they can book a call. So they come here. It's a very simple page. Got first name, last name, email, phone number. They hit that to start the process, right? And then it takes them inside. Now, you would ask, should I have an application or just go to book a call? Well, let's look at the pros and cons. If we have a wide open net and we reduce the barrier to entry, you're going to get more calls booked. But there's a good chance that the quality of those calls are going to go down. You're going to have more no-shows and more cancellations than you would if you actually increase the friction of the funnel. Does that make sense? So most of us think, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to ask for first name, last name, phone number, and email. I just want their email. I just want to make it really easy. I want to collect as much emails as possible. It's the wrong mentality. You're going to get click happy people who are Grouponers and freebie seekers, and they're going to be putting in BS emails, and it's just going to explode your list. And next thing you know, you're paying for 20,000 contacts when only 100 of them are worth anything. So in the health and wellness space, we really want to qualify. If you put the application first, you'll get less calls booked, but they're going to, your show rates are going to be much higher and your conversion rates will typically be higher too. Does that help?
Yeah.
So the trick here is how do I collect emails and get calls booked at the same time?
Yeah.
And that is positioning your message as there are a couple ways to do it. The front end could be take a quiz, right? People love taking quizzes. It's like, I'll send you the results, give me your name, email, phone number. And it's like, hey, if because you answered this quiz and on a scale of 1 to 100, you're at 60 and above, this means I can probably help you. Let's chat. That's one way.
So have the quiz be related to whether or not we can actually work together.
Yeah. Or in your affiliate thing, instead of going straight for book a call, do a gateway offer that's between $7 and $27. Make it an impulse buy. So people don't have to think. And this is where it's like, well, what do I do? And this is where you got to really think about, it's like, okay, of all the people that I've worked with in the past, what do they complain about? What do they wish they could fix right now? What do they think they need? We turn that. So a great example would be how to create $5 ad campaigns that turn into $20,000 of revenue a month. And it's $7. Would you buy it? Yeah, you would. Because it's like, how do I create a $5 ad campaign? I would really like that. In the realm of health and wellness, let's say it's diabetes, it could be how to lower your A1C score by 5 points without needing a diabetes management program, right? And you could kind of put that together into like a little mini training thing. So there's a lot of different ways to collect the emails on front. But if you've got an affiliate, I would really highly encourage you somehow having some type of gateway in between when they click the email and they can book the call, so you can actually get the information and you can then remarket to them later.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes. Very helpful.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so many different ways you can do it. Like we can go down a rabbit hole of this all day long. So we just want to make sure we want to make sure that it's not going to drive you insane, because if you,
I'm there already.
right, because you're like, okay, well, then you can start going down a rabbit. It's like, okay, let's say they opt in and they only watch 10% of the video. Then I want my email to go out to do this, or let's say they have an abandoned cart, and then I want this going on over here, and I want this going on over here. Yeah, all that stuff's great down the road, but we don't need it now. Right.
Yeah.
So be careful of the automation anxiety and trying to do too many things out of the gate.
Yeah. And all of that is having me be on a call in about a half an hour with the doers, the basically virtual assistants who would build all that stuff for me and just outsource it.
Okay, cool. So as far as outsourcing tech, it's always a great thing to do. Be very careful with your outsourcing. There's a difference between cheap VA talent and North American human resource who actually know what they're doing. Not to say that the cheap VA talent doesn't know what they're doing, but you literally have got to outline step by step exactly what they need to do. If you say, hey, I just want you to build me a funnel for skincare and coaching, they're like, all right, and it's not going to work. They don't have strategic
Makes
thinking.
sense. Yeah.
They don't have the strategic thinking. So outsourcing is great if you have a plan, an SOP, standard operating procedure, and exactly you can hand them a manual. This is what I want you to build.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, if you go through the time in building that manual yourself, it would have been faster just to build it yourself. Unless you're doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah. At this point, I feel like I have written out like what I want it to be.
Yeah.
It's just the actual getting into the system and fiddling with all the nonsense.
Yep.
And like getting it, doing the layout and doing the
Well, this is why on our back end, we actually have a tech team that we build funnels for our clients.
Yeah.
Right. And we use North American smart people so they know what they're doing. So you can basically say, this is what I want to do. And then we go and we create it for you.
Awesome.
So that's something, if you're interested in learning more about that, we can happy to chat about it. But yeah, if you're going to outsource, either be prepared to build the manual to give it to low value talent, or affordable talent. Let's just put it that way, or be ready to put a little bit more money into it to say, hey, Charmel, I really need you to build this funnel for me. This is exactly what I want. Is that something you think you could do? And you want them to go, yes. And let me put together a little plan for you and show you what I'm thinking. And so they do the dirty work. You work with them strategically and they put it together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did we miss anything or did we hit everything? Do you have any other questions?
I have to refer back to my question. This has been great. Thank you very much. Really, really helpful directions. I had one of those. Is there an equivalent to a Facebook group on Instagram?
Is there equivalent to a Facebook group on Instagram? I don't believe so. You can have a following and you can kind of set things up, but I don't believe there's the best equivalent to a Facebook group is getting off of Facebook and using a third-party SaaS. Mighty Networks is one of them. They're really great. They're going to be like $90 or $100 a month though, but you're going to get people out of the Facebook ecosystem. So when people are in your group, they're not being swayed away with notifications and ads to get your friends to join and all this other kind of crap. Right. Because Facebook's whole goal is to keep people on the platform, and they don't want, it's crazy. They don't want people in your group. They want people in their newsfeed to show them more ads.
Gotcha.
And they will,
totally.
And they will show ads inside of your private group of your competitors. I know, we see it all.
Okay.
I know. Yeah. So if anybody, again, I'm going to put the link up again, guys. So movethinksmile.com/apply. If you guys are looking for help with your marketing and sales or building out stuff like that, feel free to schedule a call. You can talk to Paula or Lonnie. They're both here today. Or reach out to them individually. They can kind of connect with you, get an idea. They're absolutely just, they're monsters. So you're going to hate the conversation. They're just so mean when you talk to them. And I'm kidding, being sarcastic. They're really easy and laid back. And see if we can get out there and help you guys make this world a healthier place for sure. All right, Charmel, any other questions about applications?
Yeah. So just for, the application versus sign up. So you said don't let them go to your calendar. So go through an application process first,
or
rather than book or sign up.
Or if you're using Calendly or OnceHub, you can have the application built into the calendar.
Gotcha. Yep.
But what typically will happen though, is if you do that, you'll get less people coming in. If you have just a form to fill out, and what you can do is you can literally position the form as see if you qualify for a free consultation.
Yes. Okay.
And people will go through it. They'll fill it out. Just make sure you strategically make your questions. You want to be really strategic about your questions and what you're asking. The whole purpose of an application, just so you guys know, is not for us. It is to build a connection with the person, the prospect, to get them to want to work with us more. Okay. So you want to make sure that your questions are strategic, that activate that psychological internal motivation. We see so many people out there who are really good at what they do, and they take the application and book call approach, but then they really flounder. Like the quality of these people absolutely are horrible. It's like, that's because you're treating the application as an intake form that you need it to work with them. Don't do that. Do that after they hire you. Use this as a psychological advantage to build that emotional connection with the person, to build up that internal motivation so they want to talk to you and they want to take the next step, and they're looking forward to having the call, and they're wiping off their calendar and they're making sure they're not going to miss it.
Do you have like a top 3 example of questions?
Depends on the offer. Typically what we'll do is we'll ask for first name, last name, email, phone number towards the bottom. And then we'll always have an opt-in. It's like, hey, this is something I want. You agree that you're going to be contacted by real human beings and automated technology. It's like something just legally you've got to put in there. As far as the questions at the top, what we found works really, really well, especially, it doesn't matter what you're dealing with, is if you have a multiple choice symptom. So let's say we were dealing with, when Ellie and I were in the burnout space, we would list, okay, what are things you've been recently experiencing in the past 12 months? Anxiety, depression, fatigue, irritable bowel syndrome. Basically all the things that can happen when people are stressed out. We had a stress offer. And what it would do is people would then start going, oh my God, these things are related, because they're clicking on the boxes.
Okay.
So that's one way to do it. You'll see a lot of people out there have a financial qualifying question, but you got to be really careful on how you do that. Because if you do the financial qualifier question too aggressively, it's going to attract the wrong person, or it's going to repel the good people away.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful with the financial qualifier question. And we also want to make sure that we're wiping out the freebie seekers. Right. So again, it depends on the audience and the offer, but the strategic question that goes into that, which is another thing that we help with. Right. And then of course, then it comes down to, okay, what software do I use? Typeform is going to be the king, the creme de la creme, but it's between $50 and $100 a month. But there's a really good alternate one. It looks like Typeform, it behaves like Typeform. It's not quite Typeform, not quite as feature rich, but it's only $10 a month. And it's called Wispform, WISPFORM, wispform.com, and their pro package is only $10 a month. So that's another place to start with applications for sure. Can you give a qualifying financial question? Yes. Well, typically what people will go out there, it's like, right now you have the ability to A, financially invest in your health, B, have access to financial resource to invest in your health, C, don't have access to anything and unable to invest in your health. Like that's kind of like the standard one. Other financial question qualifiers will be, hey, if somebody asked you to invest $1,000 into blank right now, would you trust that's exactly what I need to do to get my health back on track? B, might question it, but with the right resources, would agree to that, or C, think that's the most stupidest thing ever. Right. So there are a couple of different ways you can financially qualify people's questions. You can also go, it's like, hey, if you invested $5,000 into your health right now and it took you 90 days to get that back, would it leave you in a bad spot? You could be upfront with people. You could be upfront with people, or you could literally say, hey, just full transparency, our fees start at $1,500. Just want to make sure we're on the same page before we get on the call together, so you're not feeling like you're wasting your time. So there are a lot of different ways to handle those financially qualifying questions. And again, I know I'm repeating myself, but it really goes back to the target audience and how their brain works.
And Adam, I would just
psychological behavior. Yeah, Elia.
Yeah. And I would just stack on, especially when it comes to the price question, if you have a range, I think that's also really important too, just because it gives people an idea of options and doesn't kind of lock something in someone's brain as well, so that there's a reason to continue the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And Aisha, you had your hand right up.
Thank you. I have so many questions. I appreciate this conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
So my other question that I was going to ask is, what is what kind of question would you use, or what kind of question would you use to get rid of the freebie seekers?
What kind of question well, first of all, what I would do before even on the application, in my messaging and my marketing, my advertising, I would qualify before they even got to that space. And I would do that by being very strategic in my messaging. And this is something that's you got to be very careful. So there's a method out there that works really well in the health and wellness space. It's called PAS. It's been around forever. It stands for problem, agitate, solve. You identify the problem, you agitate the problem, you present them the solution. What most people do wrong, though, is they agitate the snot out of it. Like, they do so much negative agitation, they literally attract victims.
And we did that.
We did this. We know because we did it.
Yeah.
That our messaging was actually, we were so in tune with the problem that we were attracting people in a victimhood status that would not move forward. And so what we learned to do, and which is crazy because I've been in marketing since 95 after I graduated Northwestern with a master's degree in this stuff, is learning, but when you're dealing with like Mack trucks and Volvo and Disney, it's a whole different game there versus health and wellness. So it's learning how to flip the coin on its head and do the polar opposite and agitate in the positive. And when you agitate in the positive, you automatically speak to the mindset of an impact seeker versus a magic pill seeker that we talked about at the beginning of the session. And the impact seeker is a person who wants to invest in their health. So now, granted, there are people out there who won't read a thing you do, and some will slip through cracks and you'll get a maniac on the phone. It just happens. But if you do a bunch of qualified, and you got to be very careful on the application. Again, the application, we want to strategically build the application to build that internal motivation so they want to show up and chat with you and hire you. Make sense? What else you got?
Are you using Go High Level in the background, or are you using another white label service?
Well, right now, we actually don't use Go High Level. And the reason we're not using Go High Level is because of they currently have an email constraint. I don't know if you guys know this, and that is, like, we have Active Campaign right now, and Active Campaign charges you every month based on the number of contacts you have in the system. The more contacts you get, the more expensive it gets. So I went in and I started calculating. I'm like, okay, we're like $560 a month right now for this thing. I'm like, this is crazy. So I looked at Go High Level, like, yeah, cool, man. For $497, we could have the agency version, a white label this and give it away all day long. But then there's a problem. If we have 20,000 people that we send emails out to 5 times a week, that's 100,000 emails a week. That's almost 500,000 emails that we're sending out every month. To do that and Go High Level would cost me $1,500. All of a sudden, Go High Level isn't so cheap anymore. And so you have to really look at how they're sending out emails. Now they've got some more options up. So typically what we have found is, and I'm also very, very cautious with an all-in-one ecosystem because I've yet to see one. I've seen them like Kartra where they're good at a lot of things, but they're not great at any one thing, if that makes sense. And if your entire ecosystem is wrapped up in what, like Go High Level or Kartra, and they go down, you're screwed. And so that happens from time to time. Like even with Active Campaign, and Paul and Lonnie can attest to this. Like they're like, why isn't it automation fire? It's like, I don't know. It's like they stopped working. Like something, there's a glitch in the matrix. I don't know. But it didn't shut down our entire funnel. Right? It doesn't shut down the entire business because we've got redundant systems in place. So as far as like, what do you use? It just comes down to, it's like, if you want the most simple thing out there, go get lead pages. It's just easy. It's inexpensive. You can build your website on there. You can build your marketing pages on there, and then just have some type of email automation system. I like Active Campaign. If you're under like 5,000 people, it's really inexpensive. It's really not that bad. Like your total software cost can be under $150 a month, which in the grand scheme of things, I know it seems like a lot, but it's really cheap because there are people that pay $150 a month for cable TV.
For sure.
Did I answer your question, Aisha?
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Anything else?
We have a couple of questions, I think, from Julie. So one was just talking a little bit more about Facebook groups versus something else, perhaps like Mighty Networks. And then also what you think about ClickFunnels 2.0.
What do I think about ClickFunnels 2.0? I think ClickFunnels we'll go with that one because it's just easy. I think ClickFunnels has got a good thing there. We actually work with Rich Schefren, who's, I don't know if you know this, but was Russell Brunson's coach back in the day before they got him started working with ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels, it's as far as like a page builder goes, like it's really great. They have one little thing about their system that I'm not really stoked about. And that is if you have a domain, let's say you have adam.com going to ClickFunnels and you decide not to use ClickFunnels, it is absolute nightmare to get that domain back and pointing somewhere else. We've had that experience a couple times. And so once you're in ClickFunnels, you're locked in. You're locked in. Also, I kind of, from an email standpoint, I've seen a lot of people, there's so many marketers out there that love ClickFunnels for the funnel page building part, which works great. But as far as their email deliverability goes, because there's so many people that are using ClickFunnels that are, it's kind of like MailChimp. Like MailChimp, it's a great service, but they offer a free tier, which means all the people who do spamming and less than ethical marketing use MailChimp. And so no one should ever use MailChimp because your server's automatically blacklisted as being high risk. And so if you're going to do email marketing, I always tell people, get out of MailChimp as fast as you can. Yeah, you're going to have to pay for it, but it's going to be so worth it because MailChimp, your stuff is most likely going to land in the spam or promo folder. And it's going to be really hard to get that stuff out. You're going to have to really spend a lot of time warming up your emails and getting your email integrity high. As far as that goes, so I see advantages to ClickFunnels and there's pros and cons to both. I mean, like I said, we have a Frankenstein monster. Like we use Active Campaign, we use WordPress just because we own it for almost like life. I bought a deal a long time ago. I'm a big fan of following AppSumo. If you guys don't know AppSumo, it's a place where you get like really cool software, but you have to be very, very careful on the deals because most of the software is barely working. And if you're not careful, you'll get a $69 lifetime and you'll spend $69 and you won't get anything out of it. So you have to really, you get it. They give you 60 days. And we've actually gotten a couple of things on there that are saving us like $5,000 to $10,000 a year because now we have lifetime access to it. And so there are a lot of kind of like, there's a company out there called UpCoach from Todd Herman, who's a very, very well-known life coach. And he's built this system. So if you do any type of health coaching or any type of wellness coaching or any type of coaching period, that system was built for you. Think of it as like a Kajabi, but way more friendly for working with people, if that makes sense. And so there's a lot of different softwares out there. And Ellie, what was the next question? Oh, same with Wix. Yeah, Wix, don't touch Wix. Wix is bad. Wix does not, I'm sorry, in my experience, Wix does not play well with other people. So if you want to take your Wix website and port the people over to Active Campaign, it's going to be interesting. Gets interesting real fast.
So I think the question around Facebook groups versus something else like Mighty Networks, I'm not really sure exactly how to tackle this one, depending if there's something specifically around those two
Well,
topics.
there's pros and cons, right?
Paula, was there anything else that you wanted me to stack on with this? Just kind of the difference between the two.
I mean, that was a question from Julie. If she wants to
Yeah.
turn on her mic and kind of ask it, it was, I think, in reference to when Adam was talking about it a few minutes ago, when he was talking about Facebook groups versus Mighty Networks and pulling your group off Facebook.
Yeah, because we were just talking about how, you know, that they could advertise to other groups and take people off. But yeah, and then there's like, you know, if it's more sensitive topics, maybe it's better to be off Facebook, you know, especially in the health industry sometimes. But
Yeah.
I was just wondering what,
Yeah,
Well,
I haven't. Well, I was going to say real quick, I haven't used Mighty Networks in a while, but I did use it when it first got started, and I used it for a private group, women in sports. It was a kiteboarding group, actually. But they did, you know, one of their big pushes was that ability to really have full control and to really have that privacy and to have your own ecosystem. So, you know, I think, again, it's just, to me, it's kind of one half dozen of the other. I mean, a Facebook group is easy, and it's easy for other people to join because there's so many people on Facebook still. So Mighty Networks, something like that is like an extra step, but there's still equally a large amount of people who aren't on Facebook and or maybe don't want to be on Facebook for certain topics, right? Because one thing with Facebook is like you join a certain group, like let's say you were saying something more sensitive. So let's say you join a group for, I don't know, women struggling with libido, and then suddenly you're getting hit up with all these different things about libido. Maybe you don't want that on your Facebook, you know, page or your profile, or people to see what groups you're in. And so that's where, you know, I think depending on your offer, maybe it is more appropriate to have things off of Facebook. I don't know if that helps.
It's going to depend.
Yeah.
Yeah, Julie. So there's a couple things, and real quick, just Aisha, just so you guys know, that link I put in the box, rethinkspell.com, apply. It's a consultation. There's no cost. Yeah, absolutely. It's just more of just to get to know what you're doing, see if there's something that we can help you with, and kind of like explore some options. Going back to Julie, so the biggest pro for Facebook is that almost everybody has it, right? You put a notification in there, people get it, but it also gets lost in the shuffle. It's easy to build. Supposedly, if you have your group closed or private to where public people can't just get in and you have to approve them, you're supposed to be able to put any type of content you want in there as long as it's within ethics, right? So even if you're usually talking about sensitive stuff, you should be okay. But I've heard of people having problems with that. And Ellie is absolutely right. If people join your group and they start engaging and you're specializing in, I don't know, menopause or sexual health or whatever, insert your niche here, they are going to start getting blasted by other things. But the minute that they click on your post or your ad to get into the group, they're going to do that too. So just something to think about. As far as like getting people off into another ecosystem where you have more control over it, well, the cool thing is, are they going to have an app on their phone where they're going to get notifications if you post something? No, but most people don't see that stuff anyways, but they will receive the email. Like Mighty Networks, if you post something in Mighty Networks, they'll receive the email. They'll likely open it up and read it and come back into the ecosystem. And then when you're in offline, UpCoach does the same thing, just so you guys know. So Mighty Networks works great. UpCoach has got a whole social feature to it too. And if you do it right, it could be school, SKOOL.com, which is the latest one that's been put out there by Alex Hormozy. He's actually on top of that, and a couple other people developing that. Really, they're promoting the crap out of it. And it's to build those ecosystems so people get off of Facebook. And you can have a course in there, you can have your group in there, and you can actually use it for marketing purposes. So right now, all of our Facebook groups are currently on Facebook, and we are going to be migrating them off of Facebook in the next 12 months. Due to a lot of things. Like I'm tired of people coming into our group and then being shown our competitors. It's really difficult to get people, they get so inundated with, you know, notifications that if we do an at everyone tag like we did this morning, right? It's like, hey, you guys came to the group. You asked us to tell you when we were doing things. Then people get angry when we tell them when we're doing things. It's like, I get so many notifications. I'm like, well, turn them off. Like, you don't have to get them all, but Facebook does not make it easy to control your notifications, right? They built this thing, back 25 years ago, and they're still using a lot of the settings from them just because they're trying to legacy it in. So again, I would look at, and just out of curiosity, Julie, like, what's your offer? Like, what do you specialize with?
I specialize in autism as a comprehensive holistic approach to autism, but I'm going to be expanding to other things in health and wellness, but that's my first offer.
Yeah, super cool, super cool. So typically autism is not going to be as sensitive as something like in the sexual health area. So there are some things you cannot say on it, well, you can, but if you say them, the Facebook mafia is probably going to come after you. Menopause, bad word to be saying out loud in the public setting. Erectile dysfunction, absolutely no. Libido, sexual health, bad. Be very careful with specific diseases like diabetes. Like when we write ads for our clients, we don't even use the term diabetes. We don't even use the term erectile dysfunction, even though it's an erectile dysfunction ad. We'll get very clever with it, and we'll say things like, well, we all know what happens when you invite Ed to the party. Right? Boom. Ad goes off, it goes viral, it does great. And then we kind of describe, and so that's the problem. And then we agitate in the positive. It's like, then you're searching for the little blue pills and when's the right timing. And next thing you know, she didn't show up. So now you're sitting at dinner with, well, way more excitement than you need to be because there's no action happening. Like, you write things like that and you tell a story, and that's what gets people to click. Right. And then they take the next step in. Or with diabetes, we use A1C. Like, we will never mention diabetes in any diabetes ad ever, because it's the first thing they're going to look for is see if you're making a claim or a warranty, right, about curing a disease. And diabetes is a big one. Weight loss is a big. You got to be very, very careful with weight loss too. You got to frame these things. And the secret is to, even though we're dealing with health and wellness problems, is to actually make your advertising entertaining, right? You don't want to make it too funny, but you want to make it kind of like, it's a fine line between making it serious, but also lighthearted. And that's what Facebook likes. Like, Facebook likes positive engagement and keeping people in the system. And the more people that actually react to your stuff, and even though they are vanity metrics, like, we do not need likes and comments in order to determine if our posts or ads are doing good. What we want them to do is we want them to take action from the message that we put in there. But as you scale and grow, having good vanity metrics, Facebook will like you and they will reward you by making your ads cheaper, because people are engaging with your stuff and that's what they want. And in fact, there's a really cool there's a really great cheap ad strategy. I kind of mentioned it earlier. It's like the $5 ad strategy. Like, you can literally take a piece of a video that's 3 to 5 minutes long, teach somebody something, have absolutely no call to action at all. None. Put $5 a day into it, and then build a lookalike audience based off of people who've watched 25% or more of your video. And then you take that, and then, which is a big no-no with most people, you boost your content off your page to those people. And all of a sudden, for $500, that can turn $500 into like $100,000 pretty quickly. It's a pretty cool strategy out there. It's something new that we're learning about. All right, Elia. So I know we've been on for 2 hours now. So this is typically kind of our wrap-up time. But before we do, I just want to make sure that everybody had their question answered, everybody gets served. James, you've been on here nodding your head a lot and, laughing and stuff like that. Do you have any questions specifically? Can we help you with anything?
I will just kind of would like some clarification on that last piece you mentioned about the $5 lookalike audience, LAA.
So basically, well, actually, you're going to build a custom audience first.
Right.
So you build a video, you hit a very specific problem. Like, it's like, here's how we're using $5 ads to, do this, teach something, and don't even put your offer in there. So it's straight value. get people to watch your stuff, because Facebook's going to reward you because it's keeping them on the platform and not clicking off to your site.
Yep.
And then you build a custom audience based off of 25% of the people who've watched that video, or people who've watched 25% or more of
Right.
the video. And then you use that as a retarget market. So you can either retarget your ad or you can retarget other content to them. Does that make sense? Your offer, your main offer?
Yes.
Yeah, and that strategy right there is it's very, very kind of upside down about what we think about Facebook ads and things like that. But it's proving to be pretty lucrative. Does that make sense?
I used to work just to kind of reinforce what you mentioned about be careful who you choose to work with.
Yeah.
I got a client like I think it's like 4 years ago now, as a digital marketer using Facebook ads. And I mean, I tailored a bunch of stuff together using ClickFunnels, ActiveCampaign, Zapier, all that stuff for their marketing for one of their packages.
Okay.
Really party packages. And this guy, who was actually a friend, he told me to talk to his marketing guy. And before I knew it, I was like, okay, he gave me the go ahead, got it running, and he cut it off without even contacting me first.
Okay.
And I had to try and figure out how to stop it because I used my own money for the ad buys. And that was when I knew, like, this guy is not serious. I was like, I never want to work with someone like that again. It was like traumatic. So be careful who you work with. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Paula, you got your hand up.
Question. How do you make a private Facebook page?
Okay, so you have a business page, which cannot be private. That is going to be public. A group, you can make a private Facebook group, and that's going to be inside the settings. So if you go and you create a brand new group, it's going to ask you, do you want this to be public? Do you want it to be closed? Or do you want it to be private? Public means anybody can see it and anybody can join without your approval. We typically say don't do that. Closed means anybody can see it, anybody can join it, but you must approve them before they can actually get in and engage in your content and engage with the people inside the group. That's the most popular. Private means nobody can see it. It's not publicly visible. The only way they can get into it is you have to send them a link.
Oh.
And then you can approve people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you would recommend
Closed.
okay.
Assuming that they're still using that term, which I think they are.
Okay.
Let's see here. Let me get into a group. So of course, Zoom is on, so it's moving a little slow right now. But yes, if you just type in create Facebook group, there's a really great tutorial, and then it will ask you that question. And then that's how you can turn a Facebook group into more of a focus group and also a really great marketing. And again, the reason Facebook groups are great is because, well, they're free, right? You can start them, you can start using them now. It's free for people to come in. Everybody's really familiar with it. But over time, when you start building up this big following, you may find that migrating it over into another ecosystem outside of Facebook will be beneficial.
Okay.
For sure. Did that help, Paula?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Absolutely. So real quick, I know a lot of people got to get off of here. I'm going to go ahead and share this if you haven't seen the link already. So movethinksmile.com, apply. If you guys would like help doing any of the things that we've talked about today, we've got an entire team in the background. Ellie and I work with all of our clients. Specifically, we do have a team. We have Andrew, we have Lonnie, we have Paula, we have a lot of other people on the back end. We've got John in Barcelona who does a lot of our digital marketing and builds funnels for people. But if you'd like to see if this is something that might benefit your company, I invite you to come over to movethinksmile.com/apply. First, there's a video there that is a 30-minute detail of exactly how we work with our clients. I invite you to watch that first and make sure that this is something you think you're going to groove with. And then something that we're doing right now is typically our old requirement to work with us is to give us a 4-month commitment. But right now we've removed that restriction and we're offering a 2-week trial for anybody that gets on the calendar and books by this Friday. So we know what it's like to get out there. We know what it's like to grow your business. We know to have experience, like what James said, it's like, be careful of who you work for to make sure you got the right team on your side. And we want to make sure you feel like you've got the right team. So we're offering a 2-week trial, and that's happening right now. If you get on the account, you can book your call for next week, but you need to book the call by Friday, if that makes sense. So it's over at movethinksmile.com/apply. And I'll put that back into the chat box as well. On that note, is there anything else that I can support you guys with today? I'm Adam Von Enns. I'm the co-founder of Move Think Smile. Elia, my amazing partner, she's also my wife, full transparency, just had to book. She had to go to some client meetings. But before I jump off, is there anything else that I can help you with? James or Paula or Aisha or Ken or Julie or Jean, we'll see you tomorrow. Or Bob or Jamie. Going once, going twice. Final answer, because I'm gonna hit the end button here in a minute. Just making sure, nothing coming through. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be doing another one of these probably maybe next week. And if not next week, it would definitely not be the week of Memorial Day. It'll be the first week of June. So if you'd like to join us then, feel free. In the meantime, come over to movethinksmile.com/apply. And let's see what we could do. Let's get out there. Let's turn your marketing into an impact-driven sales machine. Let's make this world a healthier place. Tip the scales from sickness to wellness. And by gosh, when you do that, we believe you can have a good income too. Let's make that happen. Take care, everybody.